I don't know that one.
Me neither.
Oh, you just made that up?
Just in there.
Oh. Okay.
We'll call it.
A movie scene.
Yeah, hope so. We'll just call it thinking. And in the scene, the guy's going.
Yeah. I can see that. Hey everybody, welcome back to Great Measures.
And sing.
My name is Richard, this is Judsong.
Great Measures.
You and I talked about it before we started recording. You said you had seen a couple of headlines about Knocked Loose being in the news. It performed on Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah.
Yeah, and it went over really well. People were excited about
Obviously, yeah.
it. People were like, bring them on again. Jimmy, when's the next time Knocked Loose is coming back?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you a Knocked Loose song. And we can do more Knocked Loose in the future. I thoroughly enjoyed. Have thoroughly enjoyed Knocked Loose for quite a few years.
Cool.
The song is called "And Still I Wander South."
Down here where we are.
Down here in the South. And still I wander south.
Okay.
Knocked Loose. Ready?
Sure.
And still I wander south by Knocked Loose.
Proceed, Richard.
So they were formed in around 2013. They're from. We want to guess where they're from?
Either Pennsylvania
Okay.
or Iowa.
What makes you think that?
I don't know.
Oh, they're from Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kentucky. It's right over there.
So the first time I heard about Knocked Loose was probably around 2015 or 16. Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder was always promoting lesser known music on his social media, especially Twitter at the time. And he posted a link to a song, or I think it was to a song called, I think the song was called DTAH, and it was a Bandcamp link because I don't think Knocked Loose's music was streaming anywhere at that time. And it was a split that Knocked Loose did with another band called Damaged Goods. And I remember listening to it and being like, I've been missing this.
What kind of music is this?
It's like modern metalcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the metalcore.
I know you do. But I've just kind of watched them progress over and over throughout the years. This was from 2019. I don't know if you remember when you and I were in treatment together for drug addiction back in 2019. I had a Knocked Loose shirt.
Yeah.
And I think I've worn it on the channel a couple of
It's
times.
like red and blue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, they just, I don't know, for whatever reason, people did not care for them being on Jimmy Fallon, but
Jimmy Kimmel.
whatever. They're the same person.
Jimmy.
They're the same person. Shows you how much I pay attention to them. But yeah, they're still putting out music. They just did, well, the one that they did on that show, it's probably one of their more popular, it's probably the most popular song they've got right now with somebody named Poppy, the female that was singing, I don't know.
In a white dress. I
Yeah.
don't know who that is.
Yeah. But yeah, man, they've just gotten better over time, in my opinion. They just keep coming out with cool stuff. And I've found other bands through keeping up with them. I think it was from this album. There's a song with. Let me make sure I've got this right. Sorry. So this album was called A Different Shade of Blue, released in August of 2019. While we were in treatment.
We're in treatment together for doing drugs.
Yeah, there was a song called A Serpent's Touch, and it had a feature from a girl named Emma Boster, and she's from a band called Dying Wish, which is another, like a modern metalcore band that pays homage to the older style. You know what I mean? Like they're younger cats playing older influenced modern metalcore, but influenced by some of the old. But it's around that time, especially. I mean, it still happens. I feel like it. I may be wrong, but like my perception is it's not as common as it was around this time. But it's really big in the hip hop world where artists feature other artists in their songs. You know, I mean, you see it on numerous hip hop albums.
Every hip hop album.
Yeah, there's a feature from this artist doing a verse on this song, and that was really it still happens from time to time. Like I said, my perception is it doesn't happen quite as often, but metal bands were bringing in vocalists from other metal bands and letting them do a feature verse or do the vocals over a breakdown or something in their song. It just, like I said, they've just gotten better over time, and not that they were bad at all. It's just they've grown, and I we've talked about it before, but like a couple of bands I've mentioned, All That Remains, Avenged Sevenfold, like the direction they progressed towards was not the direction that I liked for them to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But this was one of those bands where
They did.
they went in a way that I like to see.
You kept listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think this song is about, Richard?
I don't know. What do you think this song's about?
I don't know. It sounds sort of like an addiction in some way.
Okay.
Just towards the end there, it sort of sounded like addiction. But then there's the, I latch on to different things, but he mentions as above, so below in there. And that's the law of correspondence in the Hermetic principles, which is an immutable law.
Okay.
Which is as above, so below as above. Which is just an understanding of how things work. So if you wanted to understand how, I don't know, for instance, how people on the earth work as an the earth is a living organism, and then people are sort of the virus on it, and how they multiply. You could look at that in the cells of your body, and so it's basically seeing something on a smaller level, and how it's also it's mirrored in. So gravity, maybe the celestial body is running around something of a bigger mass, that sort of happens here, where things revolve around other things. So you can understand things that are harder to understand on a macro level by looking at them on a more micro level.
Right.
And then vice versa.
Yeah.
As above, so below. That's the law of correspondence.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
sort of represented by the tree, and then the root system under the tree, so that you see it. It's the same thing. It's growing out and growing. So that I'm like, so they know something.
Right.
They're going on a deeper, and they use the imagery of water. But then there's a hole in the water, and there's something at the end they said that sort of made me think about addiction. The line at the end there. Yeah, anything to remove this vice.
I cast out a prayer for wings, anything to remove this vice. Trapped in my head where the waters rest. I've spent so much of my life trying to get out, and still I wander south.
Yeah, and I guess that's just the.
Yeah.
And that could be anything, though. That could be just spiraling into.
It's pretty broad, yeah.
An idea or some kind of psychological hole you're putting yourself in.
Yeah.
Mental, spiritual, physical.
Yeah.
All the things.
All of them.
But I'm intrigued by him. I don't know anything about him, but I like the style, for sure.
Yeah.
I just like that kind of how the music, and I like the vocalist.
Yeah. Okay. I know he turns people off sometimes, but there's something about. That was what stood out to me when I was talking about the first time I ever heard him, and I heard that song that was on that split. It was so different. It's different from what people do now, but it sounds a lot like some older hardcore metalcore, like his vocal delivery. And it just, man, for whatever reason,
I like his pitch.
It struck a nerve with me, like in a good way, that it was something that I hadn't heard.
Sounds like punk.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, and then you can sort of understand what he's saying, but he's not. There was a guttural in there.
Yeah, that's the guitarist doing that.
There was a guttural in there for a second, but
Isaac is his name.
But yeah, I really like the vocalist. Kind of gets me on this because I love the style of the metalcore stuff. It hinges on thaw, just the
Sure,
just
the dissonant
and the erratic.
Yeah.
You never know if they're in this kind of beat or if they're
right.
And they're back and forth so quick. That's what thaw does. But yeah, and then the dissonance of the guitars and just the trading off of, they don't play together all the time. I love that stuff. Okay. And then of course the end of the song, the space.
Yeah, I couldn't decide if I was going to let that play out or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total. That reminds me of thaw, but I'm not trying to make it that. I'm just saying there's an element in there of that. Yeah, his vocal gets me.
Okay, cool.
I dig him.
That was my only I would have done him sooner, but I thought his vocals might have been a turnoff for you.
I like him.
Okay.
That's
a pleasant surprise for sure. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We are Great Measures. My name is Richard.
Thanks for showing me this song, man. I really appreciate it.
This is Judson, and you are welcome.
Great Measures.
That was And Still I Wander South by Knocked Loose. Have a wonderful